Hello, and welcome to Nevada State High School's Filling Out the FAFSA Paying for College tutorial for all students. Use the guide bar at the bottom of the presentation to navigate through the presentation. Go ahead, click the forward button now to begin the presentation. During this tutorial, we will discuss what the FAFSA is, the benefits of filling it out, the steps required to complete it, and the next steps after filing the FAFSA. At the end of the presentation, you will take a 5-question quiz. Follow along closely and let's get started. Click to the next slide when you are ready. A free application for student aid, or FAFSA for short, determines eligibility for all federal aid programs from Pell Grants to student loans. It determines eligibility for most state and collegiate-based aid programs. And it even indirectly determines eligibility for some merit-based aid, since many schools reserve their own limited scholarships for students who do not qualify for need-based funds. Click to the next slide when you are ready. The Pell Grant is a need-based grant program for undergraduate students without a bachelor's degree. You apply by completing the FAFSA. Annual maximums are subject to change, and not all schools participate in this program. Click to the next slide when you are ready. The Federal Supplemental Educational Opportunity Grant is a needs-based grant program for undergraduate students without a bachelor's degree. You apply by completing the FAFSA. Annual maximums are subject to change, and not all schools participate in this program. Click to the next slide when you are ready. The TEACH grant has some very specific requirements that its recipients must fulfill, and you are encouraged to understand all requirements before accepting the grant. The most common requirement is to teach at the same school for a minimum number of years. You apply by completing the FAFSA. Annual maximums are subject to change, and not all schools participate in this program. Click to the next slide when you are ready. Students who have lost a parent after 9/11 in either Iraq or Afghanistan should notify the financial aid office at the school they plan to attend. Click to the next slide when you are ready. Work Study is a program based on students' financial need. It allows students to work part-time on or off campus. Click to the next slide when you are ready. The Perkins Loan is a low-interest loan that provides borrowers with 9 months before repayment begins after they graduate, leave school, or drop below half-time status. Click to the next slide when you are ready. Subsidized federal loans are low-interest loans offered by the government. They are awarded based on financial need, and the interest is subsidized by the government while the student is enrolled at least half-time. Click to the next slide when you are ready. Unsubsidized federal loans are non-need-based loans. The government does not pay the interest on these loans. If ineligible for a subsidized loan, the student may be eligible for an unsubsidized loan. Borrowers can pay the interest on the unsubsidized loan or wait until they graduate or withdraw. Interest will begin to accrue on the unsubsidized loan after the first disbursement has been made, and the student is responsible for all interest on this type of loan. All loans must be paid back, so the borrower only wants to take out what they may need for school. Click to the next slide when you are ready. You can start completing the FAFSA application online at FAFSA.gov, not FAFSA.com. You should never pay to complete the FAFSA. You can also complete a paper copy by printing the FAFSA at FAFSA.gov and clicking FAFSA filing options. Filing online is the easiest and most efficient way to complete the FAFSA. Online processing time is approximately 3 to 5 days, while a paper application may take much longer. The online process provides help and hint boxes on every page to assist you with questions, and includes built-in edits to prevent errors. If you file online next year, you'll be able to complete a renewal FAFSA with some answered already pre-ed in with your information. The PIN is a 4-digit number to assist you and your parents or spouse. You can also save time by using the IRS data retrieval tool online to automatically populate your tax information. Click to the next slide when you are ready. Deadlines are very important when applying for financial aid. Always apply as soon after January 1st as possible for each year you are requesting financial aid. Check with your school's financial aid office for their priority deadlines. Click to the next slide when you are ready. Even UNLV and other colleges require that the FAFSA be filled out to be eligible for scholarships, even if there is no financial need. It is a college-to-college decision. Click to the next slide when you are ready. 11th graders. Complete the entire blank template, turn it into NSHS, and keep a copy in your portfolio as required, and to use it next year as a 12th grader. Click to the next slide when you are ready. 12th graders. Complete the entire blank template and use it to complete the actual application online in January. You will need to put a copy of the FAFSA confirmation that your application was submitted by turning it into NSHS by attaching it to a ticket and putting a copy in your portfolio. If your parents do not want to complete the application, submit a complete blank application to show that you can do this if necessary in the future. Click to the next slide when you are ready. This information will be necessary for you to complete your FAFSA application. If your current year tax returns haven't been filed, you may use an estimated figure in order to submit your FAFSA. If you estimate your information, the FAFSA Processing Center will remind you to enter your actual tax figures at a later date. Applicants should be aware of marital status, citizenship status, and school completion levels of both parents. Parents and/or applicant must know asset information to complete the FAFSA. Click to the next slide when you are ready. If you file online, you will need your PIN to sign the document and submit it. Make sure you have an email address that you check regularly, know the number of people living in your house, and the colleges you are thinking about attending. Click to the next slide when you are ready. There are 7 sections of the FAFSA. Each section requires specific information about the student and the parents, such as demographic and financial data. Click to the next slide when you are ready. Your name and date of birth must match what is shown on your Social Security card or your FAFSA will be rejected. The FAFSA Processing Center will conduct a match between your name and date of birth with the Social Security Administration. Even if you plan to be married by the time you start college in the fall, you must enter your marital status as the day you are actually submitting your FAFSA. Click to the next slide when you are ready. If you are an 18-year-old male and have not signed up for the Selective Service, you may do so on your FAFSA application. Males who have not yet registered will not qualify for financial aid. If you are only 17 now, go ahead and check Register Me. Your information will be submitted on your 18th birthday. Click to the next slide when you are ready. Students can indicate if they have filed their taxes, if they will file, or if they have not filed at all. Click to the next slide when you are ready. Your answers to these questions will determine your dependency status on the FAFSA. If you can answer yes to one question, you will be considered an independent student. If not, you are considered a dependent student and must provide parental information on your FAFSA. Click to the next slide when you are ready. These guidelines indicate if parental information must be shown on the FAFSA based on your dependency status. Independent students who are married must also show spousal information. Click to the next slide when you are ready. Parents must provide the first initial of their full first name and the date of birth as shown on their Social Security card. If parent or parents are undocumented or not a U.S. citizen, they may enter zeros for the Social Security number. The applicant will provide information about the father or stepfather and mother or stepmother. Click to the next slide when you are ready. As you indicate your parents' marital status, review these tips regarding whose financial information to include on the FAFSA. New for 2014-2015. If both legal parents live together but are not married, they must still report both incomes on the FAFSA. Click to the next slide when you are ready. Step 5 is only completed by applicants who answered yes to any question in Step 3. This section discusses the applicant's marital status and the number of people living in the house. Click to the next slide when you are ready. The next section will ask you about your college plans. Click to the next slide when you are ready. If applying on paper, you can select up to 4 colleges to receive your results. You will need their school code or write the complete name of the school. You may look up the school code at FAFSA.gov or by calling 1-800-4-FED-AID, FEDAID. Online, you may select up to 10 colleges. You must provide your housing plans for each school receiving your FAFSA results. The financial aid office at the school or schools will use your housing plans to help determine the amount of financial aid you may be awarded. Click to the next slide when you are ready. This screenshot shows the lower portion of the sign and date section. Remember, your parents must also sign. Click to the next slide when you are ready. It is now your turn to fill out the paper copy of the FAFSA. Remember to take your time and keep a copy for your portfolio for NSHS and to help applying online, making it quicker and easier. Click to the next slide when you are ready. If you have filed your FAFSA online, it takes about 3 to 5 days to have it processed. After that time, it is forwarded on to the school or schools you have chosen to receive your FAFSA data. Paper FAFSAs will take considerably longer to be processed and received by your schools. You will be notified when your FAFSA information has been submitted to the school or schools of your choice. Click to the next slide when you are ready. The financial need formula is as follows: cost of attendance minus the expected family contribution minus other aid equals your financial need. Click to the next slide when you are ready. A Student Aid Report, or SAR, is a summary of the information you provided on the FAFSA. This information will be sent to you via email if you filed online. A paper SAR will be mailed to you if you chose to do the paper form. Review the SAR for any errors. Click to the next slide when you are ready. Once your financial aid file is complete at the schools who have received your FAFSA information, the Financial Aid Office will send you an award letter that lists all the type of federal and state aid you are eligible to receive. This letter may be sent via paper or electronically. The schools you've applied to will determine the process. Make sure you understand all financial aid you have been awarded. You do not have to accept anything offered to you, especially loans, since they must be paid back with interest. This means you will have to pay more back than what you originally borrowed. Be sure to respond to any requests by the school's deadline. Click to the next slide when you are ready. Complete the FAFSA as soon as possible after January 1st. Each year you will need financial aid to meet all deadlines and be able to be awarded the maximum amount of aid. Click to the next slide when you are ready. Fill out the FAFSA online if possible, as it is significantly faster and you are able to receive your results in just a few days. You will need a PIN if submitting electronically, and filling out the FAFSA is always free. Remember to always keep copies for yourself. Click to the next slide when you are ready. It's a done deal! We've completed the presentation for filling out the FAFSA. You now have an idea of why filing the FAFSA is so important and the material required to submit the application. You also know the follow-up steps to receiving federal aid every year you attend college. Now let's take a short 5-question quiz on your understanding of the tutorial. Click to the next slide when you are ready. Let's go through a couple of things before you begin your 5-question quiz, including: Number 1. After answering each question, click Next. Number 2. After answering all the questions from the quiz, click Submit All. Number 3. You will have 2 opportunities to take and pass the quiz with an 85% or better. Be careful because some questions will calculate negative points for answering the questions incorrectly. Take your time and read each question carefully. Click to the next slide when you are ready to begin.